You just saw it. President Trump has turned himself in to face charges for trying to overthrow the 2020 election that he lost. Our next big thing tonight is how some Colorado conservative activists, talk show hosts, and attorneys fueled the conspiracy theory that was really at the heart of Trump's stolen election lie. Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Conservative voices in Colorado then helped stoke a conspiracy theory that Denver-based Dominion voting systems had rigged the election. They helped build a plan to overturn the election results.
Is this a massive case of fraud, Joe?
I think this is a conspiracy to commit fraud against the American people.
Okay.
Joe Oltmann, a conservative activist from Douglas County, repeatedly went on KNUS radio to claim that he overheard an Antifa conference call with Dominion.
This is a massive putting your finger on the scales of the election.
Colorado's Republican National Committee man, another KNUS host, Randy Corporate, said he connected Oltmann to the Trump team, including now indicted attorney Sidney Powell.
You've heard a lot about Sidney Powell. And she is great. I've been talking with her via text this week, and she's so busy. Shared some of this Dominion information with her.
Within days, the Trump legal team, including Rudy Giuliani, were attacking Dominion and attacking one Colorado-based employee, Eric Coomer, by name.
The Coomer character, who is close to Antifa, took off all of his social media. But we kept it. We've got it. The man is a vicious, vicious man. He wrote horrible things about the president. He is completely biased. He's completely warped. And he specifically says that they're going to fix this election.
Colorado Christian University's Jenna Ellis was part of that legal team. On K-House Dan Kapla's show, Ellis suggested, without any evidence, that Dominion was also rigging elections in Colorado.
Dan, I'll kind of break some news here with you that we are seeing how Dominion may have swung some of the state and local races in Colorado as well.
That evidence never materialized. Yet Trump stoked his supporters' anger at Dominion. Prosecutors say Ellis and CU Boulder visiting scholar John Eastman put together the ultimately unsuccessful legal strategy to overturn the election. And the Coloradan who first accused Dominion of election rigging, he eventually got a daily talk show of his own, where he's repeatedly suggested executing his political enemies.
And I want to send the media to the gallows, the mainstream media to the gallows, radical leftists to the gallows, traitors to our nation to the gallows.
Trump suggested as recently as last night that political violence could in fact be coming. Today, Colorado's Republican Congressman Ken Buck said that the former president needs to vocally discourage that.
I think he absolutely needs to tell all Americans to stand down and allow the judicial system to take its course, sending a very clear message, and also having his surrogates send a very clear message that violence will not be tolerated is appropriate.
Representative Buck, who's a former prosecutor himself, has been critical of Trump's fourth indictment, the one in Georgia. He says it's too broad. They shouldn't have used the racketeering statute. But Buck has also said that he will not support Trump for re-election if Trump is a convicted felon. Well, we are finally seeing what we asked Mike Johnston for during his campaign for Denver mayor. It's a map of the places where Johnston wants to put tiny home villages. They are the core of his plan to help people out of homelessness. There are sites in every city council district on this map, but some of the locations in the city's wealthiest neighborhoods are still a secret. Here's Kelly Rinke.
Some people see this corner as more than a parking lot.
We have to start somewhere. Get them into something so they can work their way up the ladder.
Alan Boat,
so, yeah, it's a big help.
Saw a lot's potential when he lived in a tent at a safe outdoor space in Denver. After a year there, he moved into an apartment. It's why he thinks Mayor Mike Johnston's plan to replace more cars with tiny homes and pallets could work.
It's a good start for people that really want to get off the streets.
Have some exciting news to share. We are here today to release a preliminary list of sites around
the mayor says by the end of the year, more people could start moving off the streets. A map he released today shows where he plans to open these micro-communities.
You'll see the one here at 1380 South Birch.
It shows all 11 districts with sites from Green Valley Ranch to west of I-25. Most are empty lots owned by the city or CDOT, and some are privately owned. 2 hotels in Northeast Denver are on there that could house up to 400 people.
These are sites that we think we know have the materials that they would need. They have access to public transit in the area. They have access to utilities.
The preliminary list doesn't include some districts, like District 5, where wealthy neighborhoods like Hilltop are. The mayor says no one will be left out.
Some of the sites that we're working with private landowners on, they were not yet ready to go public on, but we do have sites in all 11 districts. And so we want to make sure we can decentralize some of those services and some of those supports. And so that's why you'll see us moving more south, more east.
This site in downtown is across from the Justice Center and Transit, and next to the Aid Center, which offers resources for things like employment.
You're going to have ones that just don't want to get off the street.
Alan likes setups like this, but knows everyone won't be on board like him.
They get too comfortable. They feel this is good. They haven't come to realize on their own personal level, I need to change.
Now, the list put out today is preliminary, but the mayor is confident that these sites are ready to go. They're just going to start that process of some of the formal stuff like permitting and some of the zoning changes as well.
Obviously, the mayor has made this promise, 1,000 people off the street in 1 year. It's a very specific promise, so the numbers really matter, how many people they can get into these various sites.
Yes, and he thinks that he can start doing this by the end of the year. And even if we don't see those additional sites, he says that the sites that are public right now are enough to move those 1,000 people. But he's insistent that, hey, we're going to have some sites at least on this list in every single district, even if some are not made public at this time.
And then will come the moment of truth, because homelessness advocates will say that 90% of the folks on the street will be happy to go into some type of shelter like that. We shall see. All right.
Yeah, we're going to see.
Kelly Rinke, thank you.
Thanks.
Tonight, the Denver Public School Board is going to decide whether to approve the controversial firing of a principal who was terminated for speaking to 9 News about safety concerns. There's no indication the board's going to do anything but rubber stamp the district's firing of Kurt Dennis. He's the former principal of McAuliffe International School. Dennis was terminated back in June after he revealed that DPS employees were being told to do weapons pat-downs without proper training. And he also revealed that students charged with attempted murder were being put back in class by the district over the objections of school leaders and police. The district says he was fired for violating student privacy laws. Dennis is planning to sue, and the school administrators union has called for him to be reinstated. In the months since his firing, School Board Vice President Aonte Anderson started an investigation into Dennis and other McAuliffe administrators. The school board says that McAuliffe's use of a locked seclusion room to monitor emotionally out-of-control students is a violation of district policy. That specific issue was not mentioned in Dennis's termination letter. Today, we learned that Vice President Anderson is dropping his request for a conflict of interest waiver that would have allowed him to work in a DPS school while also on the school board. His term ends in November. He said he's running for the state legislature. Anderson told us today he will not ask for a conflict of interest waiver. It was supposed to come up at tonight's board meeting. Instead, he says he will take a job in DPS after he's out of office. A correction to something that I said last night about the long-shot Republican presidential Collins and his run for Congress and now president. I misread a number in our report. Since the beginning of the year, Steve Laffey has raised less than $50,000 from outside donors, not less than $5,000, which is what I said. For some added context on candidate fundraising, Steve Laffey has $47,000 in outside money, not counting the money he gave himself. Asa Hutchinson squeaked onto last night's debate stage with $582,000 raised from outside donors. Mike Pence, $1.1 million. Tim Scott, $7.5 million. Ron DeSantis, $20 million. And Donald Trump, who wasn't on stage, $35.9 million. So the Colorado Republican Party was so concerned that a libertarian candidate caused them to lose a close U.S. House race in 22. The GOP struck a deal that gives the small Libertarian Party power to essentially approve GOP candidates, so the third party will stay out of those races. Well, now, don't you know, the most successful Libertarian House candidate in 2022 says he's going to change parties and he's going to run again anyway. Remember Dan Ward? He's the death metal band sound guy who pulled an impressive 3.9% of the vote in Congressional District 8 last year. He got double the average of other Libertarian House candidates around Colorado. Republicans said Dan Ward was the reason the Democrat Yadira Caravan won by a single point and is now in Congress. Ward told us today he's choosing to leave the Libertarian Party. He's going to run Congress again. House.
I've never seen this many mosquitoes. I've never seen risk quite this high. It's a pretty extraordinary year.
We are looking at why this is such a horrible year for the Nile virus, and in particular, one part of Colorado. And it is a uniquely accessible music festival that offers an opportunity for every fan to enjoy the show. Next. Danielle Grant, my kindergartner, told me this week, Daddy, the playground is too hot.
Too hot.
And I'm like, sister, I hear you. There's not a whole lot we can do. But then that's when we pull up your little app there, Danielle, and I show her what you're saying. I told her, just hold on for the end of the week.
Promise. Cooler temperatures, cooler playgrounds to come. Unfortunately, they might be a little soggy tomorrow and into the weekend. So if you have any park plans, Friday, Saturday, you might want to think about something inside. Yes, it has been beautiful. Yes, it has been hot. Today marks day 10 in a row with 90-degree heat around here, but all of that changes. Tonight, a cold front moves through, and all of that tropical rain we've been talking about, that's already across the western slope and will be making its way to the front range of the eastern plains tomorrow. Flood watch in place Friday and Saturday. So far, about 8/10 that we have seen thus far in the month of August. Typically, we see about 1.7 inches, and easily we will see plenty of that. This afternoon into this evening, much of the western slope getting in on this tropical moisture. Heavy thunderstorms continuing to race in from the south. You can see out toward Glenwood Springs, a whole lot of lightning stretching up towards Steamboat Springs. They're under the flood watch this evening. And then even around Grand Lake, Grand County, the East Troublesome Fire, or burn scar, I should say, we're going to be monitoring that for the potential for some flash flooding. There's that cold front. That's going to sneak in. That's what drops our temperatures. But remnants of former tropical storm Harold is really what's going to bring us all of this rain. And we are talking about potentially 1 to 3 inches of water moving through. It starts tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. As the afternoon and evening wear on, we'll get another round. This is about 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. Everything starts to shift out on Saturday. We'll get a break, but it doesn't last long as another round rolls in Saturday afternoon. Again, the rainfall amounts across the Front Range, incredibly impressive. Tomorrow, how do the 70s sound? They, of course, come with the wet weather. We'll see that continue Saturday and Sunday with warmer weather back early next week.
Thank you, Danielle. Bug spray is a big seller in northern Colorado this summer. Larimer County has been seeing 10 times the usual amount of mosquitoes. So mosquitoes carry West Nile virus. That's already killed 11 Coloradans this year. Mark Salinger found out why it is such a particular problem in northern Colorado.
On a warm day in Fort Collins, what thrives on top of the water is hard to see.
I've never seen this many mosquitoes.
In here, they're everywhere.
These are uninfected vectors of West Nile virus.
Inside the Center for Vector-Borne Infectious Diseases at Colorado State University, Director Greg Ebel tests mosquitoes for West Nile.
So these are the adults.
His lab reports the results to the county to determine the threat people in the area face of being infected with the virus.
We've seen extraordinarily high numbers of vector mosquitoes, mosquitoes that transmit West Nile virus. Culex tarsalis numbers are over 10 times what we typically see.
Culex tarsalis are these guys.
These are the best West Nile transmitters on the planet.
A species of mosquito that is thriving in northern Colorado this year.
I've never seen risk quite this high.
Larimer County has reported 29 cases of West Nile so far this year. All the counties with the most West Nile cases are all in northern Colorado. But why?
There's a lot of irrigated agriculture. We have a lot of kind of smallish bodies of water where mosquitoes like to breed. And we have a lot of people who live here. And so you put those two things together and you're going to get cases of West Nile.
The wet winter and spring left a lot of standing water, the perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. The state health department says Larimer, Weld, and Boulder counties all have the best sources of water for mosquitoes to breed and spread West Nile.
This is about our third unusual year in a row, and so we may be kind of heading towards a new normal where we see more West Nile activity and more mosquitoes out there.
Some cities are choosing to spray for mosquitoes to try and stop West Nile cases from spreading. Other cities are choosing not to do that and just choosing to warn people that there are West Nile cases and that they should probably wear mosquito repellent. We'll let you decide which works better. For Next, I'm Mark Salinger.
Got to mention, the vast majority of people infected with West Nile never have any symptoms, and they're fine. The Larimer County Health Department says they have seen a significant increase in cases in the last couple of weeks. and they expect many more through the end of summer.
I think the biggest barrier for a lot of people sometimes is the unknown.
The term all access is thrown around a lot when it comes to concerts. We're going to take you to a music festival that is truly all access. Everyone can come and enjoy the show. That's next. Music festivals can be notoriously exclusive, often excluding people who need accommodations. For the third year in a row, the organizers of the Shine Music Festival in Denver are trying to create an inclusive space where they hope that anybody who loves music will feel welcome.
We have the opportunity as a community to break down barriers and open up doors. How's your day been going? Everybody loves music. Music is this one platform that, even if it's just for a few hours, our socioeconomic status, our color of our skin, what we do for a living, nothing like that matters. It's that collective experience that we all share in. Just to be able to get out and dance and move and just the freedom. I feel like it just gives a lot of freedom, basically. And we just systematically go down the list of what could we do to make it more inclusive for all. This was last year's Shine Music Festival shirt, and all of our shirts have implemented Braille. I love live music, and when I recognized the one thing that I love the most wasn't inclusive and accessible for all, I wanted to create a live music experience that allowed everyone the access. And so for this transition, we'll have somebody, we're just gonna kind of have people hang in here.
We're just constantly going out there and looking for new technologies and new ways to make the space more inclusive for everyone.
We might experience it differently, but everybody can experience the events together, and we should celebrate that.
The world's a lot more beautiful when it's inclusive of everyone.
That festival is taking place at RealWorks on Saturday. Admission is free, though donations will be accepted. Oh, Marissa was hiding behind a camera. I didn't even see you there. I didn't think you were here tonight. Thank you. Feedback next. Paul writes in tonight to ask, just out of nowhere, I suppose, who owns the copyright to a mugshot? That's an interesting question, Paul. I mean, typically, rights are owned by creators. If you're asking about former President Trump's mugshot, which has not yet been released by the Fulton County Jail, the creator would be the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. We deal with mugshots all the time. I have never heard of a government agency attempting to enforce a mark or rights on a mugshot. I assume it's just going to kind of go out into the public domain, and it's going to be on T-shirts and mugs, probably sold by both the former president and his opponents. Rob says, why isn't Jenna Ellis identified as a former 9 News reporter every time she's mentioned on a broadcast? Good question, Rob. It's because she's not a former 9 News reporter. What in the world are you talking about?